Let's talk about how to start your nonprofit strong. This is going to be a really good one. In this video, we're going to talk about 6 vital infrastructure needs that you need to be thinking about putting in place as you're starting and growing your nonprofit organization. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Amber Melanie Smith, and I'm a nonprofit founder and executive director. I make these videos here on YouTube to help folks like you who are wanting to make a social impact, maybe through starting a nonprofit or social enterprise or other type of social change effort. You're in the right place. I hope that you find this video is helpful and useful. As always, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I also have a newsletter. You can get the link to that in the description below the video with resources and updates and sometimes funding opportunities. So definitely subscribe to that. You can opt out anytime. Finally, I have an online course where you can learn all about the process of starting a nonprofit or developing a sustainable fundraising plan. That's at foundertofulltime.com. All that out of the way, let's get into the topic. Okay, so thinking back to when I first started my nonprofit organization and so many stories from founders that I've talked to, I know that it can really feel like when we are starting and growing a nonprofit, it's like we're building the plane as we're flying it. But time and time again, whenever I've talked to some nonprofits that I've seen are just growing really quickly and effectively, the things that they're doing are the things that I'm going to talk about in this video. They're putting really important infrastructure and systems and processes in place at the beginning, which makes running the whole rest of the organization faster and more efficient in years 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's get into some of these infrastructure needs. Just a quick recap on what we mean when we say infrastructure in this case for nonprofit organizations. This is going to be your technology, your processes, your systems that make the organization run efficiently, figuring out all of those systems from the beginning. Infrastructure need number 1 is your legal and your compliance stuff. So a lot of people, when they start a nonprofit, they're filing their paperwork. They think, okay, great, my paperwork is filed. I'm done with all the annoying paperwork I'll ever have to do, right? Unfortunately wrong. You as a nonprofit, once you get your legal filing completed, you still have to do paperwork each year. And the paperwork can vary depending on the state or the region you're located in to maintain your nonprofit status and make sure that you're not going to get in trouble with various government entities. And the legal and compliance stuff is all part of a bigger picture relating to proper governance of your nonprofit organization, which in itself is a huge infrastructure need that you've got to have in place. You can't fulfill your mission if you are in trouble with the government and have to pay a bunch of fees and are dealing with all the legal stuff. You can't focus. You can't focus on your mission. So what I recommend here is first, you need to really make sure that you are extremely clear and up to date on all of the compliance and legal things you need to deal with each year in your particular state or region. This could include things like filing your annual tax forms as a nonprofit. Yes, even though you're tax exempt, you still have to file your tax forms, your 990s. This could be upping your charitable solicitation license depending on the state that you're in. And there might be some other things too, but making sure you know what those are. And the second part of this is making sure that you know when those things are due, because each thing might have a specific deadline. You want to make sure that you know when it is and have an approximate estimation of how long it's going to take you and your team or any outside help you might need to bring in to help you complete the filings each year. You need to know about how long those things are going to take so that you are starting with plenty of time in advance to do it. So I also recommend a calendar or a schedule where you have those deadlines clearly marked. Infrastructure need number 2 is your marketing and your fundraising systems. And I put them together because they are very interconnected. The marketing, the outreach that you would be doing to bring people in as your audience or your followers or your subscribers to your organization, these are the people who would then potentially become donors or funders or sponsors if through their business or organization. So these systems are really intertwined, and you need to be thinking about how you're going to, 1, attract new people, that's the marketing, and then 2, convert them into supporters of your organization. That's the fundraising together in your plans, your processes, and your technology from the very beginning. This one is actually one of my biggest personal regrets. When I was first starting my own nonprofit, I didn't think about this. I didn't know what these systems were. And so every time I met a new person or started to form a really great relationship with a person or a business or an organization, I would just have to make my own notes somewhere and hope that I remember to follow up with them and do some of the work to keep building that relationship to hopefully bring them to the point where they might donate to the organization. What I really needed, which I didn't even know what it was called at the end, was a CRM, or customer or client relationship management system. This is a piece of software that you would be using to basically bring in all of your audience, your supporters, your followers into a system where you can track your relationship with them. So maybe you met some person who at a tabling event who is interested in volunteering or interested in getting on your mailing list. They would go into your CRM and you would say, this is someone new who just met the organization, so let's bring them further in, let's invite them to the upcoming event that we have, etc. It helps you track the status of your relationship with each person, basically. This has the added benefit of quickly telling me who I haven't engaged in a while. So I can do a search in my CRM and be like, show me everyone who has not come to an event or has not donated recently. That tells me I need to re-engage them somehow, say hello, send a nice note, something like that. It also helps me though share information about these people and the relationships and the status of the relationships with others on my team, which is honestly a game changer, because if you're a one-person shop and your team starts to grow, but you're still the person who is the only one who knows all the people that you've met and all the relationships you've built, you're not going to be able to get your team's help very efficiently in engaging those potential donors as well. So you need this CRM software as part of your infrastructure. You also need to kind of define the processes of outreach and fundraising with your team. So writing out what are the steps. First, we do outreach. We meet all these new people who've never heard of the organization before. Then what happens? What's the next step that a new person takes on the journey to get to know your organization better? Maybe the next thing is they receive an email from you to come out and volunteer or come to an upcoming event. Okay, so then they come to the event or they volunteer. What's next? Maybe after that, they get a thank you note. Maybe after that, you invite them to your holiday donation drive. So what are the steps, the process that you and your team are going to take to turn people who've never heard of your organization before into loyal supporters? Critical infrastructure need number 3 is effective project and program management systems. Your projects, your programs, these are how you are fulfilling your social good mission as a nonprofit. They are the heart of what your nonprofit organization is doing and why you need to raise money and do all this marketing to support these programs. So you need to have systems in place in order to run these programs and projects effectively. And I really mean a couple of things by that. One, you need to be able to create a system to track the steps required to successfully implement a program or project, and communicate those steps with your team, with other people outside of just yourself. And second, you need to be able to measure and evaluate the results of your projects and programs easily. Let's go back to the first part of that, and that's communicating the steps of how to implement a program or project successfully. This is project management, basically. This is really important, even if you're a one-person shop right now, because you eventually are going to need some help, and maybe you even want to take a vacation one day, and you need to know that other people are going to be able to successfully and effectively handle the operations and fulfilling your program while you are out of the office. So in order to do that, your team needs to know what the steps are to successfully implement the program. So having the sort of robust to-do list or project management system is really helpful. And you can use technology for that too. There are great project management tools out there that you might be able to utilize and build out for your purposes. And the second part of this, as I mentioned, is being able to evaluate and measure the success of your projects or programs. What are the outputs and the outcomes? Things like, how many people did you serve? How did you serve them? Were you serving them successfully? For example, how many people did you help escape food insecurity? Or how many animals up for adoption did you help find forever homes? Things like that. You need to be able to measure those things for lots of reasons. One, because this is your mission. You want to know that you're doing it successfully. So I would want to measure my results to know that I'm doing some good work. Secondly, this is going to help you with funding opportunities, because then you can say to potential funders, look at the impacts we've been able to create. With your funding, we can double these impacts, or whatever the case may be. And third, you want to showcase these impacts in your marketing materials and to those potential donors to inspire them to give to your organization. This is actually the perfect opportunity to segue into talking about our sponsor for this video, Argenta software, because they have tools that can basically help with everything that we've talked about and the things that we're going to talk about soon as well, from your CRM or donor management to your marketing planning to your project and program management tools and more. I have engaged with hundreds of nonprofit organizations throughout various aspects of my work over many years. And what I can tell you is that I'll often see these organizations adopt different solutions, different technology for each of their problems, right? So they'll have one solution for their fundraising or CRM, they'll have another solution for their marketing, and yet another solution for their project management, and so forth. Well, one thing I like about Argenta is that they have a solution that encompasses everything all together. They really understand that everything that happens in a nonprofit is completely interconnected. The people you recruit to be volunteers or board members then become donors. The people you serve in your organization could be future board members one day. Everything is interconnected, so having separate systems might not always be the easiest way to understand the relationships between things going on at once. So that's one thing that makes Argenta software so helpful, is it's all one solution. Let's take a look at a couple of screenshots so you can see what I'm talking about. Organizations get a helpful dashboard that shows you a snapshot of everything going on in your organization at once, from your current goals to things going on with your various types of constituents, like your board members, your customers, or people giving you money. View each of your organization's constituents, from your board members to your donors to your volunteers. You can edit their constituent profile to keep track of their birthday, their contact information, what types of volunteer activities they might be doing with you, or when they've donated, or even the type of t-shirt they might need next time they help you out. And when you're thinking about all of the things you need to set up to have a strong infrastructure as you grow a nonprofit, Argenta has some pretty amazing tools to help you with setting the foundation for basically all of it. You can manage your board of directors and their engagement, your organization's calendar, your events, your fundraising and donors, your grants, your finances and your accounting, your project management, your marketing tools and campaigns, and more. Check out argentasoftware.com, and I'll leave the link in the description so that you can learn more about all these features and their various plans, which includes a free version and affordable versions for your small and growing team. All right, so back to these infrastructure needs. Let's talk about need number 4, and that's financial management systems. You really need to be able to track your income, your expenses against your annual budget effectively throughout the year. This will help you with your annual taxes. This will help you and your board of directors with reporting out financially to make sure that your organization is sustainable and solvent over time and throughout the year. So you need to think about a couple of things here. The actual systems in terms of technology, you've got to be doing your accounting on technology, systems that will allow you to log those expenses and perhaps even scan and log those receipts are very helpful. And also systems in terms of the processes that the people in your organization undertake. Things like, okay, who is depositing the checks? Who is a second person to put their eyes on the checks before they're deposited, so that we have that accountability and those internal controls set up for the organization, which helps prevent fraud and stuff like that. So what are those processes? Who's responsible for what? When do you report out your finances with your board of directors? What do you do in different situations? Writing all that stuff out. Infrastructure need number 5 is a growth and staffing plan. Now, I understand that many organizations, and in fact, probably most organizations, are not starting out with the funds available to hire paid staff right away. But if you can think about this from the very early stages of your nonprofit, you're going to be able to plan for this growth and also potentially inspire donors and funders to donate more so that you can achieve that growth faster. So here's how you would go about starting to think about this. The first thing you need to do is have an understanding of how much it costs your organization to reach certain outcomes. For example, it costs us $10,000 in labor and equipment and technology to serve 200 people with job training, for example. Or another example might be, it costs us $15,000 to find 75 homes for adoptable animals. So once you have an understanding of what it costs you to achieve a certain outcome, you can start to estimate and extrapolate. So you'll be able to say, okay, well, we're serving 200 people in job training programs with this amount of money. If we can raise this amount of money, we can serve 300 or 400 people. So come on, donors, help us fund these additional impacts. This exercise will also allow you to think through what is some equipment or other capacity building needs you might have that could increase the efficiency of your organization even more. So let's say if you just invested $5,000 in this special piece of equipment, you could then double the amount of people you serve next year, something like that. And that gives you goals, specific goals to help your marketing and your fundraising efforts along. In the same vein, this is what you use to think about your staffing. Let's say you know that one full-time program manager can serve 25 people with job training services per month. Then you know that you might need 2 full-time program managers to serve 50 people. That allows you to plan ahead for your staffing and your fundraising too. Fun fact, I didn't mention this before, but our sponsor Argenta software also has some of those staffing resources available in their software too. And the final infrastructure need we're going to talk about is probably a pretty common sense one. Number 6, it is a website and an online presence. I'm including this here because you really can't succeed very effectively as a nonprofit or any kind of social impact project without some kind of online presence these days. Not only does a website and your online presence showcase your mission, your programs, your impacts, but it also builds credibility with the public, which you've got to have, because people do not donate or volunteer to help an organization unless they trust your organization and they believe that it will make an impact like it says that it will. So you've got to be showcasing that stuff on your website. This is your vehicle for recruiting volunteers, donors, etc. But I have a sense I probably don't need to sell you on having a website or an online presence since you're here watching this video on YouTube. So let me just talk about really quickly 3 additional types of online presence that you really want to consider for your organization. The first is newsletters. You've got to be engaging with the people you're connecting to on a regular basis, sharing those impacts regularly. The second is obviously social media. Different platforms might serve your organization well based on what your mission is. So don't necessarily assume that you have to be on every platform. Maybe your organization serves mostly business professionals. In that case, LinkedIn might be the best platform to invest the most time and resources into on social media. But really, you want to make sure that what you post is done with intention. You're focusing a lot on storytelling, images, photography, etc. And the third thing is engaging with other media sources. This could mean getting in the news, sending press releases out to news organizations, but it also means making sure that your website is mentioned and linked on other credible websites in your community. This helps not just your SEO for your own website, but it also adds credibility and adds reach to your organization too. I'd love to hear from you at this point. What are the elements of infrastructure for starting your organization that are most scary to you? What do you think is going to be the most challenging, or which are the easiest? Or in another vein, what didn't make my list that you think needs to be part of every new nonprofit's critical infrastructure? Share in the comments below. As I mentioned before, I have 2 online trainings at foundertofulltime.com about starting a nonprofit, the whole process around that. And secondly, developing a sustainable fundraising plan for your nonprofit. You can check those out at the website. I have my newsletter where you can subscribe and get tips and resources every once in a while, and of course opt out anytime. And finally, I have my online community, Change the World or Bust. It's on Facebook right now. Come join us over there. We've got thousands of people from around the world making an impact, just like you, hopefully. So come join us there. Hope to see you. Once again, I'm Amber Melanie Smith. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. See you later. Bye.